Welcome to Healing to the Leaf. I'm your host, Odelia Hernandez Underwood, here to break down the stigmas, share the wisdom, and explore the healing power of cannabis. Today's episode is inspired by a recent conversation with my ex. Yes, we still talk, and sometimes those conversations lead to big realizations. He's currently dealing with some degenerative back problems, and we were talking about how cannabis could be a potential option for his relief. But one of his biggest concerns, other than the fact that um, the possibility of finding a job, he recently retired, and that's another issue that we can talk about another day, is I don't want to get high. And you know what? He is not the only person that I've heard say this. Many people are really curious about cannabis. I know a lot of fellow healthcare professionals, other than the fact that they have the potential for, you know, having a hot drug test. Their other concern is, like, is it going to make me high? And, that's, like I said, they're not alone in this, and they hesitate about getting high. They're afraid of, like what's going to happen, how they're going to react, or how it's going to affect them. Um, but guess what, guys? It is not all about getting high. Today, I'm going to talk about 5 different ways you can use cannabis for healing without getting high. The first thing that I'm going to talk about is raw cannabis, THCA. So I don't think a lot of people understand this still. So THCA, tetrahydrocannabinolic acid, is the non-psychoactive form of THC, which doesn't make you high, but it does have all of the amazing and incredible therapeutic properties. Some studies suggest that THCA may help with inflammation, pain, nausea, and even neurodegenerative diseases. As I was saying, THCA is basically cannabis that isn't heated. Like I said, the compounds remain in their acidic form, like THCA instead of THC. So once I grab this and there's flour in there, I could eat this and not get stoned. And then once I add heat, it decarboxylates the THC or the cannabis. So it decarbs the cannabis and it turns the THCA to THC, and THC is the thing that has the psychoactive effects. So, like I said, how do you use cannabis or raw cannabis other than grinding up and putting it in a smoothie? You could also think of something like juicing. You can blend fresh cannabis leaves and buds into a smoothie. You can juice them, you can add them to your salads, and you would get all the benefits from the raw plant and cannabinoids without that psychoactive high effect. Another way that people can use cannabinoids without the euphoric high effect is high CBD and low THC products. So CBD is, like, I would say, the mellow sibling of THC. It's non-psychoactive, and it can actually counteract the psychoactive effects of THC. So when you are feeling too stoned, or in those moments where like you're paranoid and anxious, you could take CBD to relieve you from the effects of THC. It's pretty dope. Um, and I don't know how many people know that, but it's amazing. So for all the people who want like the therapeutic benefits of cannabis, like pain relief, relaxation, without that high effect, then high CBD products are a real game changer. You can find these products in tinctures, edibles, capsules, and even vape options, which are very useful in the moments where people are high and they want to not be super stoned anymore. They can take a hit of the high CBD product and then, have the THC effects start to dissipate. One thing I do like to tell people that if they're new to cannabis and they're worried about feeling high, to start with products that are maybe like a 20-to-1 or higher CBD to THC ratio, and you'll get all of the healing without that buzzed effect. And remember to ask questions when you go to the dispensary, or for those people who are in illegal states, they see, all these CBD stuff. I mean, you can buy CBD like on Amazon. So I would be really looking into and doing your research before you buy something on the internet. If there is a locally grown hemp farm, well, I guess so. That would just be CBD products. But if you're looking for like a CBD to THC ratio, you would need to ask the bartenders to make sure that you're getting a really good product. You can always ask for the lab testing done on the products from the different brands. So make sure when you go into the dispensaries, you are asking the questions. I find it very interesting that not only when it comes to cannabis, but patients in the healthcare system, they are putting pills in their mouth and they have no clue as to what they are. Sometimes they describe the pill, and sometimes people don't understand that not all pills are the same. They can come from a different manufacturer and still be the same medication, and they look completely different. So when you tell somebody, I take this little pink pill with some markings on it that could be Wellbutrin, then somebody else makes it and it's blue. It's just not, it's just how it is. Anyways, another option for people who don't want to get high are topicals. Topicals are great. They come in creams, balms, patches. They're infused with cannabis that you apply directly onto your skin. And it is really good for localized relief. They're commonly used for arthritis, sore muscles, nerve pain, and skin conditions like eczema or psoriasis. So like the best thing about topicals is since they don't enter the bloodstream, there's no psychoactive effect. It just targets the healing right where you need it. However, I would pay attention to the kind of patch that you get, because there are some patches that are intended to go into the bloodstream. Although, I don't really know. I have used patches myself, and I feel like in that moment that I used them, I was already dosing myself with the high doses of THC because I was in extreme pain and I wanted some type of relief. So with that patch, you were supposed to put it over a very vascular area, like at the top of your foot or on the inside of your arm, to where it's trying to get into your bloodstream. So I mean, unless we do studies to see how much THC is actually going into the bloodstream, I will say I don't really know, because like I said, I was already in a whole lot of pain when I was doing the patches, that I was taking edibles, I was taking gummies or some oral form of THC. So I could have already just been feeling euphoric or high in that moment because I had been taking the orals. And then in that, moment of desperation where I felt like I needed something that was going to be a little more long term, because it's supposed to, kind of release itself throughout the day. So I don't really know. I'd have to try them again. And since I'm not necessarily in a place where I could get some patches, then maybe some CBD patches, but not CBD THC patches. Anyways, I digress. One of my favorites, THC CBD blend balm, and I really do like topicals. I have homemade topicals. I haven't really went out and bought CBD, THC topicals in a minute, just because, like I said, they're not available here in my state. But they are miraculous. Some people may not like the smell of maybe like homemade stuff unless you can add some like really nice essential oils and you know how to, take that pungent smell of cannabis out. However, like I don't mind the smell. I actually really love the smell of cannabis. So the smell that for my homemade stuff does not bother me. I would suggest using it, for the common aches and pains, like if you have chronic knee pain, put it on your knee. I have bone spurs on the top of my right foot, and like all kinds of other ligament and tendon issues there. So I would use it a lot on my foot. Maybe I should use it a little more because it works really well. But some people say it doesn't work. I don't know. I generally stay medicated, so I can't say that, like, well, no, it doesn't make you stoned. Anyway, it's the patches that I was unsure of. I digress. So just kind of rubbing the THC CBD blend all over is really amazing. Like I said, when I did use like the balms, it was just great. Some of them smell so good and they just feel so good when you're rubbing them on your skin. Another way of using cannabis without getting stoned or without getting high is microdosing cannabis. So, and I suggest everybody even start out with microdosing. The just using the effective dose to get your benefits without getting high. But even in the very beginning, for people who are new to cannabis, trying to see what 2.5 milligrams does, or even 1 milligram does to you, is important. So then you know how you react. Because even with, I would say 2.5 milligrams when I was first starting to use edibles, I think it's something I had to get used to, because even then I would try to find 1 milligram gummies. And then once you build up your tolerance, then, like 1 milligram, 2.5 milligrams doesn't really do much to you, but you are getting all of the benefits from the medication itself. So let's see. Like I said, using the smallest effective dose. And I would say this is really great for people like myself who have chronic pain, anxiety, people who have sleep issues, kind of looking at what is in the combo of the edible that you're eating, that you're microdosing. So let's see. Yeah, just taking the small dose. I just depends on what state you're in. Colorado has 10 milligram pieces, of gummies in little packs. And I think they can have like the bars, the chocolate bars, as long as, you can break them up and things like that. In Kansas, oh, sorry, not Kansas. That's definitely not Kansas. In Missouri, I was in Kansas City. I went to see what they had. And this kind of reminds me of a story where I asked about, I think he was kind of like educating me. The bud tender was telling me, like, oh, there's this great CBD THC product. And to me at that time, it was like, well, isn't CBD going to counteract the effects of the THC? And he was like, yeah, well, not everybody wants to get high. And he's correct. Not everybody wants to get high. I don't want to be high at work. And but I am a chronic user, so it's really hard. I'm gonna say it's really hard. I do have to go on tolerance breaks, but since I use it all day, every day, um, to keep all of my symptoms at bay and to keep me functional and motivated and to do like the normal tasks of the day, and even to do more than that, it's just feeling elevated is something I definitely helps me go along my day, and it makes me like a pleasant person. I mean, I who has ever met some like super angry stoner that comes home after work, and has a joint and kicks their dog. No, I would say that that's more likely people who go home and maybe kind of drink, and not necessarily maybe kick their dog. But it's just not good for you, period. But I would say people who are more likely that drink are have behaviors that are aggressive versus somebody who smokes THC or who smokes cannabis with THC every day. I think we're pretty mellow. Um, Off topic, but I when I was on dating apps, I did say like I was very open about my cannabis use. I wrote things like the questions where they ask you like, what is it? What's one thing that would save the world? And I'd be like cannabis. What's one thing that you can could talk about all day or get geeked out over? And I'm like cannabis. So that's definitely what my profile looked like was cannabis. Like if you don't understand or don't get it, like I'm obsessed with cannabis. So that's kind of the thing that my profile kind of displayed. And in that, I would ask, when guys would want to meet or whatever, I would ask like, "Hey, do you like smoke every day?" Some people be like, "Yeah, well, is that a problem?" And I'm like, "No." Like then I'm more likely to think you're not going to chop me up into little pieces and bury me in your backyard. Like I just don't know that many stoners that are that motivated to um, murder somebody and chop them up and put them in, like in their backyard. They're just love, peace, and you know, chicken grease, legit. Anyways, going back to the things that you can use so you're not high, would also be using like a 1-to-1 ratio of THC to CBD, and it can be used for pain, anxiety, sleep. You can also find stuff with CBN in it that helps with insomnia, or it may help you with insomnia. Um, I this might be beneficial as well for people who have like fibromyalgia, and even someone like my ex who has those degenerative back problems. So when THC and CBD are like balanced, the CBD, like I said, like messes with the psychoactivity of the THC, and it creates like this nice, calming, soothing experience. And it's a nice middle ground for people that are looking for therapeutic effects. So, anyways, there's like the 5 ways that you can use cannabis without getting high, from raw cannabis, the THCA, to topicals, microdosing, and then the balance ratios. There are like so many options um, and healing potentials for this amazing plant without having to feel like you're altered, high. You can't function. And I just want to reiterate that cannabis is a medicine, and like any medicine, it's all about finding the method and dose that it works best for you. It is very individualized. Some people like don't do well with THC at all. This is why these are great options. It may cause them anxiety, it may feel like they're tachycardic, and or hyperemesis, like it can just cause them to vomit profusely. So, for people like that, it's probably not beneficial to go the THC route. Um, and then, just some people just don't tolerate being elevated very well. Like, it gives them anxiety. So this definitely is an alternative. And then for people who do like to use both, but in some moments, to get the benefits of cannabis, to use it, like when you're working, using THCA or topicals versus, taking, like a smoking, I guess, because it's immediate. It's immediate. It's immediate relief. So I guess that's another thing to consider when you're doing some of these other forms of cannabis is, if you're not going to be smoking it, which is more like that immediate relief, then be mindful to, okay, if I really do need it for my pain, I can, it's going to take anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour or two to kick in. And then, like how some people ask, like, how do I know if the topical is working? Well, I mean, you generally can do more without pain, or if so. Those are generally the questions I get. Anyhow, thank you so much for listening to me today about options of using cannabis without getting stoned, and which I find completely amazing because it's essentially THCA would be a wonderful like vitamin for everybody to take. So yeah, thank you again for listening. Be sure to subscribe, share, and share this episode with anyone you think might benefit from it. And let's keep breaking the stigma around plant medicine. And until next time, keep thriving one leaf at a time.